So, what is marine environment? Marine environment are those in the world's seas and oceans below mean high tide mark. Marine environment relates to the morphology of nearshore, offshore, and deep water zones of the ocean. And question B. What are the major sources of marine pollution and its impact hazard to human, animals, and shipping industry? So, through drains, sewage of outfalls, industrial outfalls, direct littering, while 20% comes from marine-based activities such as illegal dumping and shipping for transport, tourism, and fishing. Plastics are estimated to represent between 60 and 80% of the total marine debris. The increased concentration of chemicals such as nitrogen and phosphorus in the coastal ocean promotes the growth of algal blooms, which can be toxic to wildlife and harmful to humans. The negative effects on health on the environment and caused by the blooms hurt local fishing and tourism industries. So in history of MARPOL Convention. So the history of MARPOL, the convention was adopted on November 2, 1973 at IMO. The Protocol of 1978 was adopted in response to a spate tanker of accidents in 1976 to 1977. As the 1973 MARPOL Convention had not yet entered into force, the 1978 MARPOL Protocol absorbed the parent convention. The combined instruments entered into force on October 2, 1983. In 1997, a protocol was adopted to amend the convention and new Annex 6 was added, which entered into force on May 19, 2005. MARPOL has been updated by amendments through the years. So the convention includes regulation aimed at preventing and minimizing pollution from ships, both accident pollution and that from routine operations, and currently includes 6 technical annexes. Special areas with strict controls and operational discharge are included in most annexes. So there are 6 annexes in MARPOL. The first one is the Annex 1. The Annex 1 regulations for the prevention of pollution by oil entered into force on October 2, 1983. So in Annex 1, it covers prevention of pollution by oil from operational measures as well as from accidental discharges. The 1992 amendments to Annex 1 I made it mandatory for new oil tankers to have double hulls and brought in a phase in schedule for existing tankers to fit double hulls, which was subsequently revised in 2001 and 2003. In Annex 2, regulations for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances in bulk. It entered into force on October 2, 1983. So details the discharge criteria and measures for the control pollution by noxious liquid substances carried in bulk. Some 250 substances were evaluated and included in the list appended to the convention. The discharge of the residue is allowed only to reception facilities until concentrations and conditions, which vary the category of substances, are complied with. In any case, no discharge of residues containing noxious substances permitted within 12 miles of the nearest land. So in Annex 3, the prevention of pollution by harmful substances carried by sea in package form. It was entered into force on July 1, 1992. So it contains general requirements for the issue of detailed standards on packing, marking, labeling, documentations, stowage, quantity limitations, exceptions, and notifications. For the purpose of this annex, harmful substances are those substances which are identified as marine pollutants in the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, or also called as IMDG Code, or which meet the criteria in the appendix of Annex 3. So in Annex 4, prevention of pollution by sewage from ships. It entered into force by September 27, 2003. It contains requirements to control pollution of the sea by sewage. The discharge of sewage into the sea is prohibited except when the ship has in operation an approved sewage treatment plant, or when the ship is discharging community disinfected sewage using an approved nautical miles from the nearest land. Sewage which is not comminuted or disinfected has to be discharged at a distance of more than 12 nautical miles from the nearest land. And Annex 5, Prevention of Pollution by Garbage from Ships. It entered into force by December 31, 1998. So it deals with different types of garbage and specifies the distance from the land and the manner in which they may be disposed of. The most important feature of the annex is the most complete ban imposed on the disposal into the sea of all forms of plastics. And lastly, the Annex 6. So Annex 6, Prevention of Air Pollution from Ships. So it entered into force on May 19, 2005. So Annex 6 sets limits on sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide emission from ship exhaust and prohibits deliberate emission of ozone depleting substances. Designated emission control area set more stringent standard for SOx, NOx, and particulate matter. A chapter adopted in 2011 operational energy efficiency measures aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emission from ships. That's all. Thank you.